The moment she saw the menu, her face fell. Not dramatically, not loudly, just a quiet, almost invisible collapse, like a building surrendering to gravity from the inside. Her fingers froze on the edge of the page, and her eyes stopped moving. The soft restaurant lights reflected in her pupils, but she wasn't seeing the food anymore. She was seeing numbers. Numbers she couldn't afford. Numbers that reminded her exactly where she stood in the world. And that was the moment I knew this wasn't just a date. Before we go further, if you believe kindness still exists in this world and that second chances can change someone's life, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel, Midnight Tales. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. Her name was Serena Malik, and I had only known her for 12 days. We met on a bright Tuesday morning at a small bookstore cafe tucked between a pharmacy and a shoe repair shop. The kind of place where sunlight pours in like it belongs there. She was sitting by the window with a cracked phone and a notebook filled with messy handwriting. Her hair was tied back in a loose ponytail, and she looked like someone carrying too much weight inside her chest. She had ordered the cheapest thing on the menu. Just tea. No sugar. I noticed because I was doing the same thing. We didn't speak that day. But 3 days later, we both reached for the same book. It slipped, fell, and she laughed. It wasn't a loud laugh. It was fragile, careful, like laughter she wasn't sure she deserved anymore. That's how everything started. Serena wasn't like anyone I had ever met. She didn't talk about dreams the way most people do. She talked about survival, about getting through the week, about keeping the electricity on, about pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. She worked 2 jobs, one at a dry cleaner during the day, another at a small convenience store at night. She hadn't taken a day off in almost a year. And yet, she smiled. Not because she was happy, but because she refused to let the world see her breaking. When I asked her to dinner, she hesitated for a long time. Not because she didn't want to come, but because she didn't know if she could afford to exist in that moment. Still, she said yes. Now, sitting across from me in that warm, crowded restaurant, her eyes stayed locked on the menu like it was exposing every insecurity she had tried to hide. Her fingers slowly lowered it to the table. She swallowed, and then she said it. She said she couldn't afford this date. Her voice wasn't ashamed. It was tired, like she had spent her entire life apologizing for simply being alive. In that moment, I realized something that broke my heart. She thought she was a burden. She thought her presence had a price tag. She thought she needed to earn the right to sit there. I leaned forward gently, making sure my voice didn't carry pity. Because pity would have hurt her more than anything. I told her I didn't bring her here because of the food. I brought her here because I wanted to keep dating her after this. Her eyes flickered with confusion. She didn't understand, so I explained without words. I pushed the menu aside. I told her none of this mattered. Not the prices, not the restaurant, not the illusion of status. What mattered was her. What mattered was the way she laughed like it was fragile glass. What mattered was how she fought every single day just to stay standing. For the first time that night, her shoulders dropped. Not from defeat, from relief. But her story didn't begin there. 2 years ago, Serena had everything. A small apartment, a stable job, plans to go back to school. She had someone she loved. Someone who promised forever, until forever ended without warning. He left one morning while she was at work. No goodbye, no explanation, just silence and unpaid bills waiting for her when she came home. She lost the apartment within 3 months. She slept on a friend's couch until the friend moved away. She learned how quickly the world forgets you when you fall. She learned how loneliness can feel louder than noise. But she didn't give up. She took whatever jobs she could find. She skipped meals so she could save money. She stopped buying things she loved. She stopped believing she deserved anything good. That's why this dinner terrified her. Because it felt like stepping into a life she didn't belong in anymore. When the food arrived, she barely touched it at first. Not because she didn't want it, but because she was afraid to accept it. Slowly, carefully, she took a bite. And then something shifted. Her eyes softened. Her breathing slowed. She looked at me not like someone waiting to be abandoned, but like someone daring to hope. We talked for hours. About everything and nothing. About childhood dreams. About fears we never told anyone. About how both of us had learned to survive in different ways. The restaurant lights dimmed as the night moved forward, but inside that moment, something bright was being built. Trust. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind. The kind that heals. When we finally walked outside, the daytime sun had long faded, but the warmth of the day still lingered in the air. The city felt softer somehow. Less cruel. She stood there, unsure what to say. So she said thank you. Not for the dinner. For seeing her. Weeks turned into months. I learned that Serena loved sunrises but rarely saw them because she was always working. I learned she hummed when she was nervous. I learned she cried silently, like she didn't want to disturb the world with her pain. And slowly, she learned something too. She learned she wasn't alone anymore. She started laughing louder. She started eating without guilt. She started believing she deserved space in this world. One afternoon, she told me something that stayed with me forever. She said that night changed her. Not because someone paid for her meal. But because someone stayed. Because someone didn't leave when they saw her broken. Because someone chose her. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Midnight Tales. You never know whose life might change because of a single story. And now, a special request. Comment the word hope if you believe one moment of kindness can change someone's entire life. 1 year later, we went back to that same restaurant. This time, Serena picked up the menu without fear. This time, she smiled without hesitation. Not because her life was perfect, but because she had learned something more valuable than money. She had learned she was worth staying for. And as the sunlight filled the room again, she didn't look like someone surviving anymore. She looked like someone finally living. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can give someone is not a perfect life. It's the promise that they won't have to face it alone.